Hey, Joseph.
What's up?
I actually wanted to talk with you how disappointing Dark Souls Remastered is.
Yeah, it is. It's like, and then like whenever I talk to people, it's like, oh, it's not a remake. It's like it doesn't have to be to add this stuff.
I, I, I don't know.
And also, what's the line? Where do you?
I have nothing to add to this conversation, so I will see you guys later.
All right, bye.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Thanks for playing. And like, where do you draw the line between when it's a remastered and when it's a remake? Because sometimes it's blurry. There is a visible line, but sometimes it's blurry. You know.
Actually, this is super vain of me, but
Okay.
I would like to do a podcast similar with you over Dark Souls, both the remastered and just generally what's going on with the series.
Yeah, sure. You want to?
Because I've been watching stuff on Dark Souls 2 lately.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, I've been getting super ready and pumped for remastered, and now it's out. I'm kind of sad.
Yeah. Obviously not now though, right?
No, I need to shower and do dishes and
Sleep.
get ready for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got more work tomorrow.
Yay. What about later tomorrow?
Define later tomorrow.
As in when you're done working.
Sure.
Yeah.
I get out of work at 5. Yeah, I get out of work at 5. I get home around like 5:30ish. But depending on how dinner plans go, it might not be till even later than that I'll be able to do it. But then anytime after that, I should be free.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And if somehow those plans fall through, then we can do it this weekend. And Ian, you are also free to join if you want to weigh in on stuff.
Cool.
And Heather as well, if you want.
Yeah.
For Dark Souls?
Well, just chip in at all. Like, I think it's more about Dark Souls and also remakes in general.
I don't want to exclude this to just me and Joseph.
Yeah.
If you have something to add or want to be part of the podcast, then go ahead.
Yeah, anyone can chip in.
But
I have no knowledge.
fair enough.
Well,
then
it's up to you.
yeah. Then I will just be venting a lot
Cool.
to Joseph and or Ian. Also, I kind of wish I did something similar to like the recap podcast of the Marvel movies, so I could talk about the Marvel movies as I've watched them so far.
Well, let's do that if we ever watch them together.
Well, I'm in the process right now, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on Agents of Shield season 1, and then once I get to once I get done with episode 15, it's on to Captain America: Winter Soldier. And then I got the rest of season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then I have Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. And then I have more Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then I have Ultron.
Do you really need to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Okay, I'm watching it for
with Sam.
I'm watching it for 2 reasons. One is that I wanted to see what happened to Coulson afterwards. Because I was really curious, because Sam spoiled that he was still alive.
Yeah.
And then 2... Sam loves the show, and she says it's really good. And I was like, you know what?
So I've heard.
Go ahead, start it. Why not?
And you get to have a nice time together.
Well, I've been watching all of it so far by myself.
Oh.
So,
Oh.
yeah.
You get to have a nice time with yourself.
Yep.
Watching a TV show.
I mean, like, I've been texting my reactions and stuff to Sam, and she's been like, "Oh, you're at that part."
Oh, that part.
So, kind of watching at distance. But yeah, it's been really good, and like the characters are solid, and it feels like a Marvel Star Trek kind of. Because like it's still super sci-fi-ish, and you know you're dealing with like a new mission or whatever every episode, so like you don't have to watch them in order, but there is some overarching plot lines that kind of tie stuff together.
I see. So it goes
like
into
villains.
The more like what if questions and like the deeper things about the world.
It goes into like
because that's what Star Trek was. It was less about the actual world and like what happens, more about what happens in it and how the characters interact and all that stuff, and like very philosophical.
It's kind of like, you know, okay, so Avengers just happened, right? Or whatever. and then there's the Chitarian like alien tech all over the place. So Shield has to kind of go in there, clean it up. And some of the episodes are focused on some of the remnant tech that they didn't get in time or whatever. And just normal people are using it for one reason or another. And then there's also kind of like the super soldier serum, but like a new modified version of it that's been going around. Or like some weapons, some Asgardian weapons or whatever. It's just kind of like, you know, the leftover tech from the movies kind of dripping over into the real world and how S.H.I.E.L.D. has to deal with that.
That's interesting, because that...
It's a lot of fun.
Because that's... Never mind, I almost spoiled something. Minor spoiler, but no spoilers, because I won't say what.
Was it from Infinity War?
I will neither confirm nor deny.
Okay, well... But yeah, it's really cool. It's just a lot of episodes. It's like 100-something episodes, and each one's like 40-something minutes long. So it's not probably going to be till the end of the summer till I actually watch Infinity War. But I will make it to the Infinity War, and I will be satisfied with my Marvel experience.
Yes, you will.
Because so far, it's been a great trip, and I get to watch the most anticipated movie very, very soon, being Winter Soldier. Because everybody says Winter Soldier is like the best goddamn movie or whatever. I'm just like, I don't believe you, because I really didn't like the first Captain America. And everybody says, oh yeah, Dark World was super bad. And I was like, I don't believe you. I actually really liked the first Thor and Ragnarok. So how bad can Dark World be?
Is
generally liked,
completely different.
I mean, yes, I understand, but just like, I don't know.
It's interesting.
There seems to be so much praise showered upon Captain America, and just way back whenever Avengers were first starting, Captain America was my least favorite hero. And I'm just like, I don't understand why so many people love it. And I just kind of get like that feeling, that anti-popularity feeling.
Yeah.
The hipster kind of, the inner hipster or whatever. And I'm just like, it starts to make it so that I am telling myself, don't like it, because then you'll give in to their opinions or whatever. I'm just like, no, that's not how you're supposed to go about it. You're supposed to watch these movies and enjoy them fully. It's just like, I don't know. I'm kind of jealous almost, because people have seen these movies and they said they were so good. And I was like,
well, there's always an air of jealousy to that whole like thing, right? Is because like, speaking as someone who, you know, everyone feels that way about something whenever it's like, I'm not part of that crowd, because I feel like there's a little bit of jealousy. Maybe no one wants to admit it, but there's always like at least a little bit of like, you know, and it's also understandable. I think there are legitimate reasons to not like Captain America. Speaking as someone who does, you know, because he's not a very dynamic character. He kind of stays. Not saying he's a bad character, but he doesn't really change that much.
I had so many problems with the first Captain America that I put it just barely above Iron Man 2, and I almost contemplated putting Iron Man 2 above that.
Oh, damn.
But now hindsight has kind of given me the fact that I've realized that Iron Man 2 shouldn't have existed in the first place. Yeah. So I'm kind of like...
Yeah, it is kind of a pointless movie, isn't it?
Iron Man 3 did Iron Man 2 better and in a better spot.
Yeah.
Iron Man 2 should have been Black Widow, so that it could have properly introduced S.H.I.E.L.D. and Tasha Robotov.
Robocop. Natalie Robocop.
Natalie Robocop.
Natalie Robocop.
But yeah, that's just my personal opinion. It's still a good movie in a vacuum, but whenever you consider it in the Iron Man trilogy, it's completely unnecessary.
Yes, I think that is completely valid. And going back to the whole Winter Soldier thing, I think it's an interesting note that the more generally liked Marvel movies are the ones that are less traditional. Because that's a common criticism that's thrown at the Marvel movies, is that a lot of them are the same, right? Like, even, like, people... And I liked Doctor Strange, but I can see where people are getting at, where it's basically Iron Man with magic. And it's like, yeah, kind of.
That's the character.
Yeah.
Like, actually, that's a pretty valid criticism.
And like I understand, and it's like, yeah, you're right. And But then you look at the Marvel movies that people do like, that they do say that it's not just like, it's all right, like Ant-Man, or like, and speaking as someone who does like Ant-Man, I like all the Marvel movies, some more than others, but yeah, people like Winter Soldier, and they liked Guardians of the Galaxy, and because they're different from the other, and Ragnarok, because they're very different.
I would argue that Marvel has changed so much in tone as these movies have come around that actually the least Marvel movies are Phase 1. The entirety of Phase 1 up till the Avengers, because the Avengers is like kind of the start of the Marvel movie. And the entirety of Phase 1 don't feel like Marvel movies at all.
Heather, you wanted to... Oops, sorry.
The closest one is Iron Man.
And that was the first one.
Right. Heather, you were trying to get a word in?
No.
No? All right.
I guess not.
Did you not? Heather?
What?
Were you trying to get a word in?
No?
No? Oh, because Eric was like saying stuff and you sounded like you had a thing to say.
Well, it's gone if I did.
All right, great.
Sorry.
No worries.
But yeah, no, I would say like.
What do you
Doctor
mean?
Strange.
What do you mean by whether they are?
Yeah, I'm leaving.
Oh, okay. Bye. Good night.
Bye. Night.
What do you mean when you say they are very Marvel movie or not very Marvel movie?
I mean to say that they are an action superhero movie.
Okay, I see.
The focus is on the action and like the humor and just general style of the movie. Because I would argue that the antithesis and like the Marvel movie, if I was to point out a movie and say that's a Marvel movie, would either be the Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy. Those two would be the most Marvel movies I could point out.
Okay.
Second to those would be, of course, the second Guardians of the Galaxy, but also Thor Ragnarok. And I know Thor Ragnarok laid more into the comedy side of that, and that was kind of new for Marvel, but really that was just the expected evolution of the Marvel movies at that point anyways.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, of course they added more comedy elements, because like they were so good at that to begin with.
Yeah.
As far back as the first Avengers, like they hit it off with that kind of humor mixed with intense action.
That's interesting that you say that, because me and Ian had a similar discussion on like how a lot of the Marvel movies are not just superhero movies, but the ones that you mentioned I would totally agree that they're like, yeah, they're superhero action movies like to a T. But Ant-Man is like a heist movie with superheroes.
Haven't seen Ant-Man.
My bad. All right.
But I mean, that's not much of a spoiler. I feel like that's just a general. That's what the movie is.
Yeah.
But like, I would say, if I were to make a list of movies that are most Marvel and movies that aren't really Marvel, I would say most of the stuff they've recently come out with would be more Marvel. So I would say I haven't. Oh, bye, Ian. Oh
no, that was the Bard.
That was the Bard. So and keep in mind, I haven't seen all of these movies, so I can't be 100% if this is accurate or not. But I would say Thor Ragnarok, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, probably Civil War, Ultron, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2, Thor: The Dark World, and The Avengers. Those are all Marvel movies. I would even say the original Thor kind of gets into that a bit.
Interesting.
The ones that I would say aren't really Marvel movies at their core, I would say would be Ant-Man, as you mentioned, is a heist movie. So I'm just going to kind of go with you on that. Captain America: The Winter Soldier, because I know nothing about that movie, period. Iron Man 3, Iron Man 1 and 2, and Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah, okay. We can talk about Captain America, the first one, in that it's less of a superhero movie and more like a friendlier, less depressing war movie. Like, well, like
it's absolutely a war movie.
Yeah, it's a propaganda war movie, I would say, because it's like glorifying the war, and I guess fits into his character, I guess.
And that's kind of what puts a bad taste in my mouth, because I don't like stuff that kind of like glorifies war like that. And I'm also not a super patriotic person already, so Captain America already is off-putting to me. But I really love that style of modernizing an older generation.
Yeah,
kind of like, you know, the newer Great Gatsby, how it like goes back to like, I like that. I like reinvigorating older generations with modern movies, but just the character of Captain America and just the overall plot of the movie, I didn't care for it.
Oh yeah, I think that's absolutely fair, and like, it's true. Captain America, even just like meta-wise, is 100% American propaganda.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
He's, for God's sake, his name's Captain America.
Yeah, no, that, and like, I was hoping to be able to look past all that when I watched the movie, and for the most part, it was good. Don't get me wrong, it was a great movie, but there were so many instances that just were so nonsensical that they kind of threw me. And I was just like there was just so many plot holes, or just times I was like, Captain America should be dead right now. You cannot tell me nobody noticed him do this or do that and didn't immediately fire on him. Or you can't tell me that this super soldier serum also makes whatever he's holding, i.e. a car door, as invincible as his shield, which is vibranium.
Right.
And I'm just like, there was just so many times where that happened. I was like, okay, I understand. Don't get me wrong. It's a superhero movie. You're supposed to suspend your disbelief. I understand that. I, of all people, should understand that. But like, there was just too many times where it happened in this, and just Captain America as a character was just so much of a Mary Sue, and just like, he couldn't do any wrong. And the only time where he had a depressing arc was whenever he thought he caused Bucky's death.
Yep.
And like, even in the movie, it wasn't really like, it wasn't a clear enough moment that he could have done something to save him. Because as just somebody who was watching the movie, I was like, well, that sucks for Bucky. And like, then Captain America was like, man, I could have saved him. Where I was like, there was no fucking way you could have been able to save him. I understand that people go through that, but from a movie standpoint, there was no way. And I couldn't sympathize with him on that point. And I was just like, that you're just too much of the goody two shoes here, that I can't connect with you. And Bucky, oh my God, Bucky was just such a throwaway character. He was like an older brother. He was supposed to be an older brother to Steve, but like, he was there for 2 seconds, it seemed, and then he died. And I was like,
yeah,
I didn't feel anything when he died.
I
was
agree
like,
with
okay.
that, because I feel their chemistry is kind of weird, and like written as if by someone who doesn't have a best friend, and like what they think best friends act like.
Yeah.
It's like, by saying you're my like, they didn't. Yeah, the chemistry between them was kind of weirdly
Iron Man
artificial.
and Rhodey had a better best friendship than Bucky and Cap.
Because it was, I think, because Bucky and Cap, it was like too pure. It was like unrealistic.
That's it. That's the core of my complaint with Captain America.
It's unrealistic. Yeah.
It's so unrealistic that I can't connect with it.
And not the nitpicky unrealistic, like as in like when they're trying to be grounded in a decent amount, like you said with the car door. It's like, yeah,
when you're trying to make human characters in a believable environment, they failed on both fronts in my book. And I was just like, good movie, looked great, love the setting of it. Didn't enjoy it as much as all the other movies.
No spoilers,
which is a shame, because I want to, but I can't make myself.
Hey, that is totally okay, man. But one scene sticks in my mind. There's no spoilers, but there's one scene in Age of Ultron where, and it just has to be Captain America, coincidentally, where Steve is holding a door, right? Like he's like butted up against the door with his arm on it or whatever, and it gets blown open with an explosion, and instead of being thrown backwards, he's thrown up. And I'm like, all right.
That boy's nothing but trouble.
Apparently, one of the asterisks in the super soldier serum is
uncanny
plot armor and uncanny ability to break physics and reality. Captain America's the reality stone.
Yeah, that's it. He has ether.
Yeah.
Isn't that it?
Yeah, ether. Yeah. It's that goopy red.
What's the Tesseract? Which stone is that one?
The Space Stone.
Space Stone. Oh, because it makes the portals, right?
Yep.
I don't understand how the ether is reality stone. Because, like, from Thor Dark World, all it did was create darkness. Like, I don't understand how that's reality, per se.
Yeah.
It might get explained later, so, like, don't say anything if it does, but, like, from a current person's, a current movie watcher's standpoint, I didn't understand that.
Wasn't the guy trying to, like, collapse all the different universes on each other or something? All the different realms?
No, he was trying to, like, spread darkness to all of it. Like, he was trying to extinguish and, like, destroy everything. Which is what made me think... That's what made me think that it was actually the Power Stone. But I was like, no, the Power Stone's purple, and that's in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Wasn't he destroying it through the convergence of
he was destroying it through the convergence because the convergence was making it so that he had the clearest shot between all 9 realms.
Oh yeah, that's right. The stone had nothing to do with the convergence.
Yeah, the stone was like, it activated during the convergence because the Dark Elves created to do that, but like it didn't cause the convergence.
Speaking of which, the most by the numbers villain. Like,
oh yeah. Okay, so Thor: The Dark World. I think I've already told y'all this, but it's my 3rd favorite Marvel movie currently.
Right. Often considered one of the weakest Marvel movies by many.
Often considered one of the weakest. It is objectively a pretty bad movie. Not gonna lie.
Oh.
I enjoyed
How
it though.
could you claim such a claim that it's a bad one? Yeah. I
enjoyed it though because it felt like it tried to do something different. It tried to get away from the Iron Man series, which was kind of predominant at this point, because there's Iron Man 2, and Iron Man 3 by this point, and you could argue that the Avengers also featured Tony pretty heavily. So like all that there was left was Captain America, which was also kind of rooted in Earth's reality, and then you have Thor. And I appreciate Thor for giving us that nice little space kick that kind of kickstarts the beauty that is Guardians of the Galaxy later on.
Yeah. I also appreciate Thor too. I especially appreciate the character interactions between Thor and Loki, because I think in Thor 2 is where it shines.
Oh, like, yeah, absolutely.
Press it gently. I am pressing it gently. It's not doing anything.
Oh, man.
And
I think every character but Eric Selvig and the villain were, like, well written, I want to say. And I can't remember who I've told about this point, but like I've said already that Thor: The Dark World reminds me of the perfect blend of Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, and that's why I love it so much.
Oh yeah, it is pretty Lord of the Ringsy.
There was so many moments and so many scenes that I was like, this is fucking straight from a Lord of the Rings movie. You can't tell me otherwise. And then there was other scenes I was like, this is straight from a Star Wars movie. You can't tell me otherwise. And then there was moments where both those scenes kind of blended together. I was like, holy shit. They did it. They hit both my nerd cores at the same time. I'm converging with myself.
Yeah, I like that Thor blends this whole space and fantasy thing, because I mean, just like he said, like science and magic are one and the same. It's like, and they really show. I think they do. If they do anything a good job in, it's showing that in the Thor movies, because yes, you do have this Norse kind of medieval fantasy gods and magic, but you also have spaceships and dropships and guns firing things and lasers and whoa. It's neat.
Yeah. And like, it's funny because it feels like Thor, it's like, if you see the storytelling and visual perspective and like the development over time, it's like each character has a string of like that kind of goes through all the movies, a central theme and kind of general feel of their movies that connects them all. Like Iron Man feels like quick and snappy, and it's more focused on Tony than anything else, and it feels like everything just kind of revolves around him. And that's in Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Avengers-ish, Iron Man 3, and from what I've heard, Age of Ultron, heavily. And then it comes in convergence with Captain America's kind of...
All right, good night, Ian.
Goodbye.
Good night, Ian. Sorry.
It's okay.
And it kind of converges with Captain America's thread, which is like... I don't know what Captain America's thread is just yet, but from what I got from the first Avenger, it's kind of like grittier and kind of like feels like a regular action movie rather than a superhero action movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just some kind of purity to it. And then you have Thor's thread, which I would argue goes Thor, Thor Dark World, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Doctor Strange-ish Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Because all those have that same spacey, ethereal, like mystical feel to it.
Yeah.
Which, out of all three of those timelines, kind of, I suggested that just there. I have to say Thor is my favorite and most appealing one to me.
Yes.
And I would
totally
argue
agree.
also maybe Black Panther somewhere along Thor's as well.
Interesting. Yeah, because it's got the most potential, right? You can only go so much with Cap and Iron Man. But with Thor, it's just like, well, you've got an infinite... and also the Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange. You've got so much more that you can do. Like
it opens the galactic gateways for just so much imagination and creativity for the writers. Like all the visuals and just the characters you meet along the way. And I feel like there's this almost seamless evolution from how Thor handles it in his movies to how Guardians of the Galaxy handles it, back to how Thor handles it in Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like Thor and Thor the Dark World don't have so much of a comedic element to that. But after, a little while, they were like, all right, let's create Guardians of the Galaxy, which is going to be basically Thor, but funny. Right?
Yeah.
So they did that, and then they did Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and it's like, wait, we have to make another Thor movie. Let's just go all in on this comedy, since we already have the space theme nailed down by this point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we got the hilarious movie that is Thor Ragnarok, which still managed to tell a compelling story along with being full of laughs. Wow.
Well, I think you stayed up way longer than you intended to talking about Marvel movies.
And we should have recorded that whole fucking thing.
Oh, I've still been recording. I never stopped.
Wait, you were recording this whole time?
Yep. I recorded the session.
Oh, I didn't know you recorded the session. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, now we have me actively swearing on a YouTube video. So
yeah.
That's cool. Can't wait to have that out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's so cool going through these movies from the very beginning, and watching some of these movies that people have like seen and known for a long time for the first time. Especially Iron Man 3 and hopefully soon to be Winter Soldier. I don't know. I just remember, back in high school and stuff like that, people were hyping up all these Phase 2 movies and stuff like that. And it's like, I'm gonna watch them all one day. And then it wasn't until Infinity War that I kind of like got the kick in my pants that I needed to go watch those movies.
It's really cool to be part of this event. Like this is a thing that's, whenever people say like, this is gonna make history. No, this is actually going to make history.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Marvel has set this precedent that, of this shared universe between movies that so many other industries are trying to like recreate, like especially DC's trying to get in on it. And it's just so cool being here
DC.
from the beginning and watching it as it evolves into what it is now today.
Yeah, it's really cool to be a part of.
And like you kind of have that feeling, is like it's gonna be weird whenever eventually this all does kind of close. And like a lot of people thought that was what's gonna happen with Infinity War, but there's very obviously gonna be more movies after that. So it's kind of interesting to see where it's gonna go from here. Whenever we all thought that Infinity War was going to be the end all be all to the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So we have a long way to go, and we also possibly have other movies coming in.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like now since Disney owns I think Disney owns the better share of that Fox
Yes.
franchise, X-Men. I feel like they could now start incorporating mutants to it or something.
Golly.
Or try to give Fantastic Four a second reboot.
I forgot about those branches of Marvel, because I was just thinking about like RDJ and Chris Evans. Their time is kind of running out with the whole Marvel contracts, and I was thinking, oh well, they're gonna be, they got successors. They'll probably bring in Ironheart and make what's his face, the new Captain America. What's his name? The bird guy.
I actually don't know. I don't know a bird guy.
But yeah, they have successors in the comics that I'm sure they'll bring over into the movie franchise. But I didn't even think about the other branches like Fantastic Four and the X-Men.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole other thing.
I feel like they're simultaneously eventually going to incorporate those, as well as kind of reboot the Avengers for a newer generation. Because I feel like this generation is starting to kind of get tired of Marvel movies.
But of course, like a soft reboot with like new characters and stuff.
Yeah, I don't mean like a hard reboot. I mean like
not
here's the next
Tony Stark again, but actually new. Yeah.
No, I feel like maybe, hell, even Spider-Man might take Tony's place, because I heard Tony does a mentor thing with Spider-Man in that movie.
Interesting. I was thinking Ironheart, because that's a in the comics there's a girl that he mentors as well.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm gonna call it now. I'm gonna say that if they do a soft reboot of the Avengers, I feel like Spider-Man is going to be at the helm of that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he might become the new leader of the next Avengers.
Totally.
And I don't think they're going to find a direct one-to-one replacement for all the characters, but I do feel like slowly they're all going to get phased out for some other form, some other generation.
Yeah. A replacement, but not literally like another version of that superhero, just a different superhero to take their place.
Right. And
yeah, I agree, because Spider-Man's like, he's the goodest of the good, and he's recognized, and people know him, and he's loved, and he's just
Disney has their hands on him finally.
Yeah.
After so long with Sony.
Oh, and they got him so right. Like, man, you gotta watch Homecoming.
I heard Tom Holland does a fantastic job of him.
Man, all the Brits are coming back to take back America, Eric.
Well,
we got
good for them, I guess.
We got Barbie Schnar Kubeldorf and
Benedict Cumberbatch.
And Watson is also in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as an American as well. Watson / Bilbo. And now we got this 12-year-old who does a better American accent than I do.
Great. Yeah.
We're all gonna be drinking tea and biscuits.
This is an exciting time, and I can't wait to finally catch up with Infinity War.
Yes.
And then have all the spoil gates open for me.
Yes.
Some of which I have a feeling I know already after just overhearing so much from other people. But you know, that was to be expected.
Yeah. It's almost unavoidable.
Yep. So is there any kind of way we sign off these podcasts?
Nope.
Something? Great.